Let me tell you what is alive for me. Let me start over. Let me tell you what is alive for me. I was doing some warm-ups. Let me tell you what is alive for me. Oh, it's alive. I can feel it. It goes like this. Do no, do no, do don't, do no, do no, do no, wow, wow. And then I can't really do justice to the rest of it. It just keeps on going. Now, some of you classic music, I'm telling you what's alive for me. Some of you classic music lovers might recognize that. Now, of course, it's a little bit of a compromised rendition. Let me give it to you again. And then just, you know when Luke, the one and only Luke Skywalker, was descending into that gauntlet, that corridor on the Death Star, he was rocking it. It's going for the shot that would end evil in the universe. Got that torpedo. That. Oh my God. Oh. Let me self-regulate. I've got this behemoth inside of me, this joie de vivre. I don't even want to spoil it. It reminds me of when Friedrich Nietzsche said, if you have words for it, you've killed it. Something like that. It dies. It dies in your heart. But I gotta talk. You took one moment, looked at me, and realized I'm a talker. I don't take offense. I'm a talker. Wow. That's Janacek. Cynthia Netta. I don't know. He might be Hungarian, Czechoslovakian, Austrian. He wrote this piece of perfection. So I was talking the other day to my woman, and I said, you know, there are these classical composers. Oh, God, I love them. Like Beethoven and Bach and Mozart, the big three. Get yourself a book on classical music. Have them explain it to you. Okay? I know it seems inaccessible to you, but really, once you get the hang of it, it's like chocolate chip cookies and milk. There are times when I'm listening to a piece of classical music and their tears start forming and they come down my cheeks. I'm not kidding you. And it's the sublime. God knows it is. And I was saying, boy, I get distracted, don't I? I was saying, yeah, babe, someone like Janacek, he ain't pumping it out like Beethoven and Mozart and Bach, pumping out the masterpieces in the same way. But his masterpiece, or masterpieces, and maybe a handful of them, Sinfonietta, is comparable to anything that they've done. Comparable. And that's what you find. You find that there are some composers that crank out a few masterpieces, but they're as good as anything you're going to hear. This is one of them. I was watching a documentary on Rush, and Jack Black was like talking about how they had this rocket sauce, and it was in a bottle, and they'd shake that bottle and it never ran out of rocket sauce. Like, they kept on creating the masterpieces over 4 decades, from the early 70s to, 2014, whatever. What is it? Well, we were talking about rocket sauce in a bottle. It's like lightning in a bottle. That's what we're talking about. We're really talking about lightning itself and the human body mind. Now, it's all about how you frame things, right? How you frame things. Are Bach, Mozart, and Beethoven 3 different humans? Are they different than Janacek? Well, of course, they're distinct. But that's because you're looking at them through a certain frame. Use a different frame. Use a different one. They're one mind, diffracted into 4 minds. All of the composers are diffracted into multiple minds, but there's only one classical music mind. No. That's still too much of a restriction. So you bring in the great masterpieces of literature, and you say there's one mind diffracted through all these particular minds of literature: Shakespeare, Dante, Homer. And you bring in the classical music minds: Bach, Mozart, Beethoven, Janacek. And you're like, you know what? That frame is too small. The frame holds more than just the giants of classical music and the giants of literature. You bring in the giants of philosophy, contemplative mysticism, painting, sculpture, and the frame is not large enough. There's one mind being diffracted into all of these minds. When I say diffracted, I mean it's like the prism, and you shine light in it and it gets diffracted into red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. It's diffracted. So all these geniuses are a diffraction of cosmic intelligence. But you find that no matter how much you expand the frame to include as many geniuses as possible, the frame is too restrictive, it's too much of a limit. Doom wow, 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 wow. You can't stop. You realize that when you create even the most expansive frame, it's still a limitation of your own mind. And you realize, holy shit, my mind is a frame, trying to create the most expansive frame, but the frame of my mind limits how expansive the frame can be, which would include all the great masterpieces and all the great geniuses. My mind limits the frame. I can include all the genius, all the masterpieces, and that would not be enough. What about ants? What about cockroaches? Are they included? Are you a speciesist? Then you dissolve the frame. Oh yes, now you're going to think I'm a relativist because I don't want to have rules. I don't want to have these regulations. I do not want to have these frames. They're too limiting, stifling. Dissolve the frame. Not because you are a relativist and you can't handle the oppression of structure. That's not what we're doing here. We're dissolving the frame because we took it to its limits, not because we hate frames. Pay attention. We took the subtle to its largest extent, to its end point. It can't go any further. It starts to dissolve. Into what? Very hard to even enunciate what happens. Because right when I try to tell you what happens to the subtle as it dissolves, I'm bringing in a frame to explain what happens when frames dissolve. I'm using the subtle to describe the dissolution of the subtle. And now I'm back into the subtle just as I'm describing it dissolving. What the hell? You can be in a sea of frames, an ocean of genius, and when you allow the frames to dissolve, the dissolution of the subtle itself, guess what? All that energy of the ocean. You're like a sponge. But even that's too limited. And I'm not saying that because I hate limits. I'm just telling you it's not adequate. If you drop a sponge in the ocean and it soaks up the ocean and you pay attention to the sponge, that's your prerogative. But there's a consequence to that act of cognition. You're not paying attention to the ocean. You're obsessing on the sponge. So for me to let all these subtle frames dissolve, and then come back and start thinking about what happened to all these subtle frames, it's like focusing on the sponge in the ocean. Oh, I dissolve all those frames, the dissolution of the subtle. I am the ocean. And I stay the ocean. I stay the ocean. His body is a sponge, but I am the ocean. And I am the sponge, because I'm staying as the ocean, and if I'm staying as the ocean, well, look, the sponge is in me. This body is in me. I am the ocean of being. I am the ocean of consciousness. I am the ocean of bliss. I am the ocean of being, consciousness, bliss, or what they say in Sanskrit, Sat Chit Ananda. You see how we roll here in this part of town? Nobody messes with this. Nobody can hang with this at 60,000 feet. An ocean in the sky, what the ancients called the firmament. You want to avail yourself of all the intelligence in existence. You should. It's great. Feels amazing. This is how you do it right here. I'm the ocean. I am the sponge. I am the sky. I am this body. You, me. When you're hanging out at this intensity of intelligence, and you're just feeling it, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Tell me, how are you feeling right now? Soaking up the ocean of infinite sentience, cosmic intelligence. How are you? Look me in the eyes. Look deep. It's unfathomably fathomless. There is no depth to eternity, because eternity is infinite. In other words, there is no limit to the timeless. There is no limit to the timeless. The timeless is eternal, cosmic sentience. Organismic. Well, can't say it. It's an organism. That's what I'm trying to say. Cosmos is an organism. Organismic. There it is. Organismic. When you're abiding as organismic, cosmic intelligence, you don't even care that you butchered the word. Can you feel the ocean right now? Can you feel Janáček, Beethoven, Bach, Mozart, Shakespeare, Dante, Chaucer, Homer, Picasso, Van Gogh? Can you feel them? Breathe in that surf, the waves crashing upon the shore. Breathe it in. That infinite intelligence is you. This particular sponge. Soak it up. You are the sponge. You are that body that soaks up the entire ocean of infinite intelligence, infinite wisdom, infinite sensitivity, infinite creativity. Wow, 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 wow. Wow, wow, wow. The bliss is coursing through your veins. But what are your veins if you're the ocean? currents of bliss streaming in all directions simultaneously. The electricity of divine mind. You are infinite sentience, the ocean, the sponge, and obviously, a neuron of infinite sentience. You are the focal point of infinite sentience, and yet you are one neuron among trillions upon trillions upon trillions of neurons. Because there's only this infinite sentience. You are a focal point of it, and yet you are simply one facet of it.